Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where yes, I am still on my laptop today, so I hope that the sound quality, the video quality is not too awful. Anyway, yeah, I am on holiday, obviously. What have we got for you today? Well, we have we have many of my favourite setters mixed up together. The puzzle itself is by Codec, one of the world's absolutely top-tier constructors, and it's his tribute to his friend Clover, who is another of my very favourite setters. So this should be absolutely marvellous, and it looks like some sort of Mathrax puzzle. Mathrax being a type of Sudoku that I have seen before. I've solved a couple of these over the years, and basically you can see there's a lot of sort of mathematical operations going on in the quadruples, which I shall read more about to you in just a second. But it being the 1st of August, it is, if you're a patron of the channel, it is a big day, because it means that you can now access Heatmap, which is the collection of Sudokus created by Grockles, our resident astrophysicist in the world of Sudoku. That's 10 puzzles to work your way through. All of them approachable, none of them easy, all of them beautiful. So do have a go at that and let us know what you think. We await with bated breath the reaction, which I'm sure will be incredibly positive. The only other thing to mention is obviously a couple of weeks ago now we released SUDOKU PAD, which is our brand new app. It's the result of years of basically being requested to enable puzzles to be solved in our software, puzzles that you guys create, and now you can put your own classic Sudokus into our software and play them on whichever device you like, and that is quite exciting. So do check out that. I will try and remember to put a link on the screen right there. Anything else to mention? No. Let's read the rules of Clover's Expert Maths class, which actually reminds me, I've often thought that Sudoku is a fantastic way of sort of teaching maths to children, because it's sort of, it's less formal than a maths class, but it is, and it's also, I think, often more interesting and elegant. So let's see what Codec's managed to do today. So normal Sudoku rules apply. Some circles contain a maths operator, a plus, minus, multiply, or divide sign. Yes, they do indeed. If you apply that operation to each pair of diagonal digits touching the circle, then you'll get the number in the circle as the result both times. Right, okay, I think I understand what that means. I think that is the normal Mathrax rule. So it's saying that this 11 plus here is not an exam for those of you who live in the world of private schools in the UK. It's saying that those two squares add up to 11 and those two squares add up to 11. And in the 6 minus clue, it's saying those two squares in some order differ by 6, and those two squares in some order differ by 6. i.e., if you take one from the other, you can get to 6. Now, a circle with a question mark instead of a number indicates that the result is the same for both pairs of digits, but must be deduced. Oh, I see. Okay, so that's just saying for this clue, we're dividing and we don't know what the number is we're heading towards. Let's imagine it's 3. Then that could be a 9. Oh, hang on. That could be a 9 and that could be a 3. Although actually 3 might be impossible, because how am I? Oh, 6 and 2 will work. I was just about to say it won't work with 3 and 1, but actually it would work with 6 and 2. So you could do something like that, and that would be a valid way of creating a 3 clue for the question mark divide clue. Now, what else? There's one more bit to the rules. If a circle does not contain an operator, the digits in the circle must appear in at least one of the cells touching the circle. So that's normal quadruple rules. I see. So that means those 4 squares there have to contain a 3, 5 and a 9. And that's particularly useless. This particularly useless clue is telling us that one of those 4 squares is a 2, or at least one of those 4 squares is a 2. So that doesn't seem to be terribly helpful. Now, oh yes, I did snip something from Logic Masters Germany before I started the video, which is this, which is a set of example clues to these various pluses, minuses. Now, I haven't been through these, but hopefully having read the rules will now understand them. So 7 plus, yeah, that's very, very straightforward. 5 plus 2 is 7, 1 plus 6 is 7. 2 minus, yeah, 4 minus 2 is 2, and 7 minus 5 is 2. So yeah, we've got to be careful here. You don't have to put the highest digit in the top cell. The highest digit can be the low cell. You can basically choose, it seems, whichever way you want in order to make the clue work. Because obviously if we were going 2 minus 4, this would equal minus 2. But we don't have to do that. We can just go 4 minus 2 to create the number we need. Question mark multiply. Right, so 3 times 3 is 9, 1 times 9 is 9. 2 divide. Oh, that's almost what I just did. No, it's not. I did 3 divide. 6 and 3 gives us 2, and 4 and 2 gives us 2. And question mark divide, oh, question mark divide again. That's that. Oh, I see. That's fractional. Right. That complicates things. 6 divided by 8, well, is 3/4, and 3 divided by 4 is 3/4. Oh, good grief. Okay, so we can have fractions in the divide clues, just to complicate things a little. Anyway, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. I wholeheartedly recommend it because Codex puzzles are normally absolutely top-notch. I think this one is rated 99% on Logic Masters Germany, right as we speak, or I speak at the moment. Anyway, I can't remember if I told you to click the link under the video, but I probably did. Let's get cracking. I'm on holiday at the moment, so let's see how my sun, seed and surfed brain deals with Sudoku. Now, where shall we start? We shall start with 13 plus. Well, I don't know that we can start there actually. I mean, it could be 7 plus 6, it could be 5 plus 8, it could be 4 plus 9. But we don't know which, and we don't know which way up it is. So if it is 7 plus 6, it could be that way up or that way up. I suppose what it can't be is 7 plus 6 twice, because I can't put another 7 in this quadruple now. This 7's franking those two squares. So this quadruple clue, it needs to contain 2 different sums to 13, and there are only 3 different sums to 13. So it is a bit restricted, but not very much. And that 11, oh, that 11's worse. The 11's worse because there are 4 ways of making 11 in 2 cells: 2, 9, 3, 8, 4, 7 and 5, 6. So maybe we've got to go to the, well, I was about to say maybe we've got to go to the divide or the multiply, but actually they're both question marks, and I'm a bit scared of the question marks now, especially for the divide where it can be a fraction. Let me just think about this for a second. Is there something obvious we can say about multiply clues? We can say that not much. I don't think we can say very much. We can say it's impossible to use a 5 in this clue, or a 7. No, 9 still works. 5 and 7 are impossible because they're prime. And if we try and use them, if I try and use 5, what am I going to put here so that this works? And the answer is I can put almost anything into this square, but the problem is going to come into those 2 squares, because I'm going to have to use either 5 or a multiple of 5 in order to make the calculation work. Obviously, if that's a 3, 15, the prime factors of 15, well, one of them is a 5, so you're going to have to use 5 or 15 in these two squares, and you can't use either, obviously. The same is going to be true of 7. If we go 7, even if we go for a low digit like a 1, now we've got the problem of how do we make that multiply to 7. No, there is no way of doing that. So 5 and 7 can't go on here. But that doesn't really help us, does it? About putting 5 on the question mark, on the divide clue. If we put 5 on the divide clue, which looks possible because there's a 5 here, you've got to go 5. If you go 5 and 1, this is either a 5th or it's 5. It can't be 5, I don't think. No, because it's the same logic as the multiply. It can't be 5. Because I would need to use a multiple of 5 or 5 itself in those two squares, and obviously you can't put 10s, 15s, 20s in a Sudoku. I suppose it can't be a 5th either, because I'm going to have exactly the same problem. If it's a 5th, I've still got to design a fraction that's going to have a 5 in its denominator once cancelled down, if you see what I mean. So you could have 2 tenths, but I can't put 10 in either of those squares. So I'm going to have to use 5 again, and that won't work. Okay, so there's no 5 in there either. So these don't have, neither of those have 5 or 7 in them. That one doesn't have 7 in it at all. 7 is restricted, look, in this row. So I could put 7 and 6 there, and then I've got to have 7 vertical here. So maybe the trick is that we cannot have a 7 in those two squares? Is that likely? It doesn't even seem restricted, this lot, because this 2 is not doing anything. Well, I mean, it's doing the absolute bare minimum. 6 minus is telling us that there is a difference of 6 between the two. There are so many possibilities. Basically, there are 6 possibilities for each of those squares, because we could go 9 minus 3, or 7 minus 1, or 8 minus 2, and we can put the 7s and the 8s in either, or the 7s, 8s, and 9s in either order, you know, so that this could be low, this could be high, or the other way round. We can't put 1s in those squares, look, because that's going to break the 11 clue. The 11 clue has to be, well, it can't be 1 and 10. So these possibilities for this square are absolutely legion as well. 2, 3, 8, 9, and 4 to go with the 7. Oh, but we can't put a 7 in here, could we? So we've got to get rid of a 7 from there, which means I've got to get rid of a 4 from here. Ah, and that... Ah, now I've broken the puzzle. What on earth have I done wrong here? I've broken the puzzle, because I've got a 2, 3, 8, 9 quadruple, which is fine for the 11 clue. 3 and 8, 2 and 9 in some order will work. But this now has to be a 1, 7 pair, and it can't be a 1, 7 pair, because if it's a 1, 7 pair, what digits am I putting in for the diagonals opposite the 1 and the 7? I've got to put another 1 and a 7 in, and that's definitely repeating in the box. So I have made a mistake. Ah, bobbins is the, now, obviously the sun, sea and surf has not done anything for my Sudoku skills. What have I done wrong? Well, was I wrong in saying that there has to be a 7 here? Let me just come back to this. You definitely can't put a 7 on that. You definitely can't put a 7 on that. Oh, I see. I could do 7 divided by... okay. That's interesting. Oh, and then I could have any digit at all in the other positions. Because 7 divided by 7 is 1. So the only way you can have a 7 on the question mark divide clue is if it is with another 7. And the question mark is a 1, and then you have 2 of the same digit on the other diagonal. So you can put a 7 on there. But if you do, you have to put 2 7s on there. So there's no 7 on here. If there's no 7 on the 13 plus clue, there's no 6 on the 13 plus clue, and the 13 plus clue has got to be 4, 9, 5, 8. So I think I've sort of lucked into something here. I've lucked into deducing that I think there has to be a double 7 on this quadruple. Let's just try and think about this differently then. Let's try and do this properly. Because I feel like I've got lucky here. I assumed that there couldn't... Well, I assumed there was a 7 here which broke this. Whereas what we're now saying is there has to be a 7 here, which means there has to be a 1 here. Why is that? Why does there have to be that? Yeah, I see. Okay. So, right. So what we should have appreciated, I think, if we just looked at these squares, we could have deduced, perhaps, although it's not very easy to see, but if you start filling in some possibilities, you can see how it works. If this was a 3, this would be a 9, and this would be a 2. Yeah, that's really weird. That is really weird. And if this was, say, an 8, that would be a 2, and then that would be a 9. So however you fill these in, if you decide to use a 2, 3, 8 or 9, you use up the ability to use 2s, 3s, 8s and 9s on the other diagonal. So if we go 8 here, that's got to be 2, and then that becomes 9. And now I can't use 9, 3 on this diagonal. And if on the other hand I tried 3 here and 9 here, this takes 2 here, and that eliminates the ability to use 2, 8 on the other diagonal of the 6 minus. So I do sort of see that what you can... There's probably an easy maths way of showing that this is true, but the essential point is that you can only use one of the sort of 2, 3, 8, 9 quadruple in this set of cells. And if that's the case, and it is the case, because we've just shown that whichever way you do it, you end up with a digit here that stops you using the second one back in the 6 minus clue. Once you can't use 2 and 3 or 8 and 9 in here, you've got to use the 1 and the 7. And if you've got to use the 1 and the 7, because you can't put the 1 in the middle column because of the 11 clue, the 1 has to go here, and that means that has to be a 7, and that means there has to be a 4 in here. And now we have deduced logically that there is no 7 here. And once there's no 7 here, we can look at row 6 and row 7 and ask where 7 goes, and it's not there because we can't accompany it with a 0. It's not here because we can't use 7 again, and 7 is obviously a prime factor. It's a prime number, so we can't divide it up anymore. So it's not there, it's not there, it's not here. So we have to put 2 7s into those 4 squares. And the reason we've got to put 2 7s in is there's definitely needs to be a 7 in row 6, definitely needs to be a 7 in row 7. And if we need to put 2 7s into those squares, we can only put a maximum of 1 on the 13 diagonal. Therefore, we know there's a 7 on the question mark divide diagonal, but once there's 1 7 on the question mark divide quadruple, there has to be a second one, because if we try and do normal maths that isn't 7 divided by 7, we will need to use 7 on the other diagonal. This is crazy stuff. If you go 2 and 7, for example, for 2 7ths, you're going to need a 7 in there, or a 14 or a 21, all of which are impossible digits. So you have to go double 7, although we don't know whether it's this way round or this way round. And that means, so we know now that those squares definitely contain 2 7s. I can see 2 things that results in, one of which I think we sort of deduced before, which is there's now no 7 on the 13 plus diagonal, and that means that we now know that not diagonal, that 2 by 2. The 13 plus now cannot include 6s and 7s, so it must include 4 9 and 5 8 in some order. But also, this quadruple clue now is 3 5 9 and 7 up there, which means this is beautiful. I do see what it means. I do see what it means, because we know that one of these diagonals is double 7. Double 7 is telling us that the question mark clue here is a 1. And that means that whatever is the other digit we're using of 3, 5 and 9 in one of these 2 squares, its counterpart, so if we use 9 here, you've got to use 9 there as well, which you can't do, because that would be the 2 9s for row 6 and row 7, and it would eliminate a 9 from here. So you can't put 9 in there, and you can't put 5 in there, because you'd have double 5s in these squares, and you couldn't put 5 8 on the 13 diagonal. So that is a 3 7 pair. This is a 3 7 pair. There's no 3 down here anymore, because we need a 5 and 9 to appear in this quadruple. Let's get rid of the 7 corner marks into those squares. Now I can see I can't put 3 plus 4 as an option on the 7 plus. This is just brilliant, isn't it? It's quite brilliant, because now I know what this quadruple is. I don't know the order of it, but it's definitely 1 6 and 2 5, because it can't be 3 4, and there are only 3 ways of making 2 digits add up to 7 using Sudoku digits. Now I bet you we can limit this now. Yeah, because we can get a count, look, on, well, you definitely can't include a 5 in this quadruple, because there's a 5 in there and there's a 5 in there. So there's no 5 in this clue, there's no 3, there's no 7. So the digits we can use are 1, yeah, we've only used 1 1, 2, there's only 1 2 I can see, 3 is impossible, 4 is possible, 5 is impossible, 6 is possible, 7 is impossible, 8 is possible, 9 is possible. Okay, we've got good levels of pencil marking now into these squares. So we need to make these diagonals multiply to the same number. Well, we can't use 9. You can't use 9 in any of these sums because 3 isn't available. So if you try and use 9, the only thing that you could make this sum out of now is something that's a factor of 9, and that's 3, and 3 is not there, so we can remove 9 from all of those squares, I think. It looks like it's 1 8 and 2 4, doesn't it? Yeah, it's the same with 6. If you put 6 in, whatever you put in here, let's put 2 for example, I now need to use either 6, which I can't use, or a factor of 6. Now the only factor of 6 is going to be 3, and 3 isn't available again. So 6 is coming out of this quadruple as well, like so. So now I'm down to 1, 2, 4 and 8, which means I can deduce this domino. It's going to be the digits I've not used, which are, well, they're going to be 6 and 9, the digits I've just eliminated from this quadruple here. So there is now a 6, 9 pair, not a 7 in this domino, which means there's no 9 in that domino, which means there's no 3 in this domino, which means, and if there's no 9 here, there's no 2 in this domino, which means there is a 2 in this domino because of the useless 2 clue that I was complaining about earlier. Good grief. Okay. 4, we know there's a 4 in this domino, look, from my pencil markings, so there's no 4 in that domino. And if there's no 4 in that domino, there can be no 2 in that domino, because it must be, we know we're looking for 2 times 4 is equal to 1 times 8 in some order. Now, this all seems very interesting, but I am conscious of the fact that I've been going 25 minutes and I have not got a digit. And I've only got 2 clues left I've not used. 2 divide. Okay. Well, that seems to have a lot of options, but I can think of a different way to think about a 2 divide clue. This is like a black Kropke dot. If we put a black Kropke dot instead of the 2 divide, we would get effectively the same. We'd be saying that those 2 squares are in a ratio of 1 to 2 with each other, which means that the digits that we can use on black Kropke dots are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 8, and that's another absolute plethora of pencil marks, isn't it? 2, look, can't go in any of those squares, which means 1 can't go in any cell that's diagonal to those, so 1 cannot go here. In fact, yeah, the only place 1 could really be now is there, so that would be a 1, 2 pair, so those 2 can't be 1s. Oh, that's absolutely useless, isn't it? Good grief. Wow. I've just got absolutely shed loads of pencil marks and no clue what to do with them. No, okay. Okay, I can see that I've not used 5s and 6s in these pencil marks. So there's 5s and 6s there. And that's interesting because that gets rid of a 6 on those. And if you can get rid of 6 on the top domino of a 2 divide, you can get rid of 3 on the bottom. Oh, good grief, it's still not doing anything at all. Wow. Wow. Hang on, can we do any better here? Do we know what the other digit is that's going to be down there? Maybe that would eliminate something here and give me something more useful. So, and I don't know a better way of doing this than going if this then what. If this is a 2, this would be an 8, this would be a 3. We'd have our 1, 7, 4 in the other positions. So we'd have 2, 8, 3. And the 9 would be missing, and the 9 would go there. So if we go 9, 9, 3, 8, and then the 2, no. We don't know. We don't know what the other digit is down here. So it looks like this has got all options on the table, doesn't it? It could be could be 3, 6 there, 3, 6 here, it could be 4, 8, it could be 1, 2, or it could be 2, 4, although 2, 4 is only possible from here. 2, 4, 3, no, hang on a moment. Oh, that is very peculiar. Right. Okay, let's look harder at this black crocky dot thing we've got going on here, and let's ask. This is weird. Yeah, it's weird, but it's correct because you can't put 2 into either of. Oh, I see, and that's why this 2 is here. It's so weird the way you can suddenly understand why a constructor has done something. This is beautiful. Right, this 2, which I maligned earlier as being utterly useless, is incredibly powerful because it eliminates a 2 from either of those squares. Now that means if there is no 3, 6 combination in our black Kropke dot diagonals on this 2 divide clue, what digits have to be in those 2 squares, given you can't include 2? Well, the only options are going to be 1s, 4s and 8s, because they're black Kropke dot numbers. And if they're 1s, 4s and 8s, we've got four cells in this column that have to be 1s, 4s and 8s, and that's not possible. And we can probably actually show that just by deleting the 3, 6 options. There you go. That would be all the options that were left for these 4 cells, and that clearly will not work. We will have to repeat a digit. So we know. Oh, this is beautiful. This is going to get rid of 6 here. Now we know that there must be one of these diagonals is a 3, 6. We don't know which one in order to stop this column breaking. Now, if one of them is a 3, 6, A, we know there's a 3 up there. B, we know there's a 6 here. Now, if there's a 6 there, there's no 6 here. And if there's no 6 here, there's no 1 here, because we know we're looking for 7 diagonals. Now, that means, presumably, there's no 6 here. That means there is a 6 here, which means there is a 1 here. Which means that these 2 squares are not 1s. Now, if those 2 squares are not 1s, that means those 2 squares are not 8s, which means there is definitely an 8 in one of those 2 squares, which means there's no 8 over here, which means there's no 5 beneath it, which means there is an 8 beneath it, and there is a 5 above it. Oh, I don't believe it. Look. And now, because we've worked out there must be a 5 here, there's no 5 there, which means I've got a 1, 2 pair. Despite my efforts to get away from Maverick, he appears to have bought a drill and now be drilling outside my window. But anyway, I've now got a 1, 2 pair here, so now I can remove the 2 from there. This must be a 5, 6 pair. Now I've got a digit. That's 9. Can't be a 6 because there's a 6 in one of those 2 squares. So I've got 6, 9 there. I've got no 6 here anymore. I've got no 9 here anymore, which means I've got no 4 above it, which means I've got, that's 5, that's 8. I've got a 4, 8 pair here, so this square's got to be a 1, which means that square's an 8, this square's a 2, and that square's a 4. Now I can get rid of 4 from 3 positions in the 2 diagonal clue. I can get rid of 2 from that one as well, which means I can get rid of 1 from that one. I've now got a 6, 8 pair there, which means I can't. Well, the 6 is going to go with a 3, and the 8 is going to go with a 4. So this is a 3, 4 pair. And look, there's a 4 here. So this is a 4, this is a 3, that's a 6, and that's an 8. And we've got a flurry of digits. This is just gorgeous. I'd love to know what Clover made of this. I'm sure she might be kind enough to drop a comment in on the video if I can get this puzzle solved, because this is just extraordinary. 9, that's a 9, that's a 5. 5 and 9. That's not 5. The drilling has stopped, hopefully for good. Okay. 6 here means I've got a 6 there. That means I've got a 5 here. That means I've got a 1 there, because we know those diagonals have to add up to 7. I've got a 2 here. I've now got a 6. I've got a 2-6 pair in box 3. But I can't use that to reflect on these two, because this 2 clue is just a quadruple clue. It's not an operator clue. 4 has to be in those 2 squares by Sudoku. 1 has to be on the right hand side of box 3 by Sudoku. 5s have got to be down here by Sudoku. 9s have got to be down here by Sudoku. I've actually got quite a lot done in column 7, because I've got 6 digits all but placed. I need 5s, 7s and 9s. Oh, 5 here, that's a 5. And now I know where the 9 goes, and I know where the 7 goes, and I can get rid of the 9s from those squares. Can't quite lock that 7 into place. Now, what are those 3 squares? Those 3 squares are 3, 7 and 9. Okay. And I feel like I'm running out of gas here. Might have to... Can we do... Oh, maybe I can do more... yeah, look, I've got an 8 there. That means I can get rid of 8 from those squares. And I really like the way that you get sort of a series of interactions. So removing an 8 from this square removes a 3 from that square, which removes a 9 from that square. And I've got a 7 here, so I can remove 7s from those squares. Oh, which I think I already knew about. Or maybe I didn't, I don't know. I don't seem to have a corresponding deduction for those squares. 7 here should remove 1 from there. Oh, I know. I removed the 1 from there to get rid of the 11 possibility. Okay, so I'm down to triples here, which is not terrible. Oh, no, better than that. Hang on a minute. I've got a 3 here. Where does 3 go in this box? Answer, those 2 squares is the only place it can go. So this is a 3-4 pair, which means it doesn't include a 9. And if that doesn't include a 9, those 2 squares don't include a 2, and these 2 squares don't include an 8. And there we go. We've got that down to pairs now. And that means those squares do include a 9. So this triple is 5, 6, 9. That squares a 5 by Sudoku. Sees 6, 9 in the column. Two has to be in one of those squares. 5 is placed. 5 has to be here by Sudoku. And not seeing anything else, but that might just be my scanning. Okay. I've still got 1 clue to use as well, so perhaps we can do something with that. Although you never know. Let me just stare at this for a second. I've got 2, 3, 4 and 8 to place in box 9, but oh, there must be a 2 in that domino. 2, 3, 4 and 8. 8! 8 in box 8 is in fact placed. It's there. That means I've got an 8 pencil mark there, and I haven't pencil marked a 3 in this box. But that doesn't seem to be resolving itself. 8, 8, no. Okay. What about this column then? I've got 6 digits placed. I've not placed 4s, 6s and 9s, so that square is a 4 or a 9. Oh, in fact the 6, yes, this has become a hidden single. Where does 6 go in column 4? It can only go there. So that's a 6, that's a 9. This must be a 4-9 pair. 4 must be in one of these two squares. These square, oh no, we haven't got the 3 or the 7, so these 3 actually have quite a lot more optionality than I might have first thought. But I've got 6 digits in column 6. I still need 1s, 6s and 7s. This square is a 1 or a 7. That square is a 1 or a 6. That square is a 1, 6 or a 7. I'm going to get up to prodigious levels of pencil marking again. 1s, 2s, 3s and 4s into those squares. Let's just put those in and see if we can remove anything. Ooh. 4 I can remove from those. 2 I can remove from those. Oh, that's very disappointing. Well, I've still got 1, 2, 7, 8. This is 1, 7 or 8. Good grief, is that the drill starting again? Oh yeah, well in fact let's look at this row, because I've now got 1, 2, 7 and 8 placed. That means those squares are 1, 2, 7 and 8, and that's going to impact on what these two squares can be. In fact, look, that one cannot be a 7 at all. So this is 1, 2 or 8, and this is 4 right, so this is either 5, 6, or 4, because it goes downwards from the 8. So 4, 5 or 6 into this square. Now, is there any reason that's not possible? The answer seems to be no. We don't actually know very much about column 1 or column 2. Right, so this must be 4, 5, 6, but there's one other option, which was the 7. The 7 needs a 3 there, which it can't be, because there's a 3 here. So that's not a 7. And that's not a 3. So I've now got a 4, 5, 6. That is on the cusp of being useful. There's a 7 in one of those two squares in row 3. Have we got something nasty going on? Is there some sort of Fiend X-Wing? No. Whoa, okay. Wow. What else can we do here? I thought this clue would be the thing that would bust this final stage open. I presume this is the final stage. We've almost done all the maths. What am I missing here? Are there any weak cells? Do we got any cells that can't be much? We can now pencil mark those. There don't seem to be many, do there? 2, 3. Oh, actually, hang on, those squares are quite weak. Yeah, okay. That might be important. These two squares here actually see 1 and 5 in their column, and they see 2, 3, 4 and 6 in the box. So those are 7s, 8s and 9s. Which doesn't seem to actually align with anything, rather irritatingly. Right, okay. Don't know what to do. Do we know what the... Yeah, okay, maybe we've got to work on this box, because we do know... We do sort of know... Well, we know if that's a 1, that's a 7 and that's a 4. And therefore we know the other direction is going to go 2, 8, 3. So yeah, we don't know which way up this goes. Let me just have a look at this and just see if there's something obvious we can do with this. So it would go 1, 7, 4, 2, 8, 3, and that would cause that to be a 2 and a 6. So we don't know. See this 1, 8, 4, 2 here, that could be on top. So it's 2, 7, 3, 6 is one string of this foursome, 1, 8, 4, 2 is the other. Is there a reason that one of these doesn't work? 2, 5, 6. 1, 8, 4, 2 puts a 5, 6 there. 3 here, 7, 9 here, 7, 8, 9 triple here. What's that? If that's 4, 5, 6. God, that's vicious. Okay, yeah, I can see how that doesn't work. Basically, you end up with too many cells in this box that have to be 7s, 8s, and 9s, but that is very, very hard to see, and I don't think I could have seen that without penciling in this 1, 8, 4, 2, 2, 7, 3, 6 combination. So there must be something else here. Let me just think about this for a second. I know we've got 46 minutes, so we are gradually slipping into the realms of exceptionally difficult puzzles for me. Maybe it's the. This was the other way round, and we had 2, 7, 3, 6 here. That would be 4, 5. 2, 7, 3, 6. 2, 7, 3, 6. 4, 5, 1, 8, 9. Still incredibly difficult to see. 6, 4, 5, that would cause this to be 8, 1. Yeah, but that's going to be working, so I shouldn't really expect that to be. I mean, let me go through what I've noticed here. If you try and put the 1 here, it forces the entire 2x4 arrangement, because we know that the 1, 7, 4 is forced that way, which forces 2, 8, 3 that way, and that resolves the 2, 6 pair. But once you get 1, 8, 4, 2 here, you develop a very fast problem as a result of this having to be a 5, 6 pair. Now once this is a 5, 6 pair, this is a 1, 2 pair, and that means this square here is a 7 or an 8. So let's remember that. This arrangement causes this square to need to be a 7 or an 8. And you can immediately see now I've got a 7, 8, 9 triple in box 3 as a result of hypothesizing this 1, 8, 4, 2 combination. Now, the problem is that this square also needs to be a 7, 8 or a 9. And you might say, why does it? And that's a good question, because it's not easy to see. Well, this 4 is obviously causing a 5, 6 here. So if we look at those 6 squares, the squares here need to be 3, 8, no, not 3, 7 and 9 to complete the row. Now, the problem is this 3 is going to have to go there. So those 2 squares need to be a 7, 9 pair. In other words, this square also needs to be selected from 7, 8 and 9. And that does not work. Now there's probably a quicker way of noting this. It's going to be something like thinking about where 1s and 5s go, I suspect, in this box. Maybe that's it. Maybe if we can, maybe if you do this, you can see fairly quickly. Yeah, that's not bad actually. That's not bad. That's I think slightly easier to see. So if we did go with this route, you can see now there's going to be a 5 there. Now the moment there's a 5 here, there's a 1 here. So you end up with this. In fact, this is elegant now. I actually like this now. And now look, where do the 5 and the 1 go in box 3? Both in the same cell. Isn't that lovely? So I will forgive myself that. Now, the tricky thing about this, obviously, is if we were to try and do this without, and that could have been a 1 before, but from this position, if we're going to try and do this by visualization, that's a lot harder. You've got to visualize the 1842 here, and then visualize the effect of the 1 and the 5 here. It's doable, but it's a very advanced thought to have. And I only really was able to do it, as you saw, by actually penciling mark it in, but hopefully you'll forgive me that. I am on holiday after all. Anyway, let's get back to it. So we've proved that this is not a 1. This is a 2, this is a 1. This is now an 8, presumably. Well, we know that's 1842, so this is going to have to be 7, 3, and whatever that digit is, 6. So there's no 6 here, which means we can get rid of the 2 digit there. We get a 1-8 pair, that becomes a 7. This should become a 2. Those squares now look like they have to be an 8-9 combo. The 7 must go there in box 6. That means this square is a 1. And maybe that was the sort of critical step, or the critical path to finishing it. Now look, we get the 3's opposite each other there, which means the 7's go the other way. This 8 is giving us an 8 and a 9. Those 2 squares are a 1-5 pair, which hopefully doesn't force them both into the same cell, and doesn't in fact, so that looks good. That becomes 3 and 9. Those 2 squares at the bottom. Oh, we've got all these pencil marks to use. Yeah, we can put an 8 here from this 8, and that becomes a 4. And this must be a 2-3 pair, which I can't do. Bobbins, this 4 though gives me a 4, gives me a 1. That means there's a 1 over here. And I suspect this box is now going to be the critical path. So this is a 9 by Sudoku. That gets us a 9, gets us a 5. Those 3 squares there are 3, 6, and 7, which means that's a 6. And this is a 3-7 pair. This 6 is not here. Whoa. And this square's a 1 or a 3. This square's a 1, 2, or a 3. Oh, don't get difficult again, please. I will cry. 5s, 1s. I've survived drilling. 7s. I've not been interrupted by Harry Potter requests yet. This has all been going so well. 2's come out of there. What have we not done? Oh, I know what we haven't done. Look, the 13 plus glue. The moment we got those 2, we could fill in the other 2 squares as well, because they've got to add up to the right numbers on the diagonal. And I see that's going to actually break some of the difficulties away. 8 is not here now, which means that these have become a 6-8 pair, and we can fill them in as a result of this 8. So that's an 8 and a 6. Okay, is the 3-7 done? Maybe not. Where does 1 go? In box 4, it has to go here. The remaining cells need to be 2s, 4s, and 7s. So this is a 2 or a 4. This square is a 2 or a 5. These squares are 2s, 4s, and 7s. And that can't be... that's got to be a 7. That's the only option for that cell. Which gets us the 7, gets us the 3. That's going to get us a... no, it's not going to get us a 5 there. It's going to get us a something. What is it? A 6. Okay. Oh, that's disappointing. Whoa. Okay, so this is a 2, 3, or a 5. And... oh, good grief. Oh, I know. It's the same thing again. I did it down here. And then I've done it here. Once you get the 1 and the 8, you can immediately write in the cells above them. I'm just not focusing on the right things at all. So that's a 5, that's a 4, that's a 4, that's a 2, that's a 2, that's a 3 and a 9, a 9 and a 4. That means we've got a 3, 3, 2, and hopefully a 2 and a 5. And that should be the correct solution. Yay! What a great puzzle. It's just stunning, isn't it? It's just stunning. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I think that the trick at the beginning involving working out how this 6 sum works, and that there has to be a 7 in the middle of it, is pure evil, frankly. But it feeds into some absolutely beautiful logic down here to do. I mean, I think it's very natural to think about prime numbers in the context of these clues. Perhaps I should have been quicker to think about 7s, because 7s can't be in that square at all. But it's really a beautiful idea that you can only put 1 7 in this foursome, and therefore there has to be a 7 here once you've got this 7, and therefore there has to be double 7 in here, and that had just the most amazing sequence of deductions from that point. It's a stunning puzzle. It's just stunning. Frankly genius again from Codec. I hope you enjoyed me struggling through it. Let me know in the comments, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.